My name is Chris Schaefer with Gilchrist, and I will be helping start this Monday morning's inspiration. And we're very happy to welcome Donta Gillie with us. And the name of his little talk he's going to give is called Your Reflection in the Mirror. And here's a quote. The Chinese define image in these three terms. There are three mirrors that form a person's reflection. The first is how you see yourself. The second is how you see you. And the third mirror reflects the truth. And it says here, are you able to accept the image you see when you look in the mirror? When we are young, we take for granted the opportunities that are offered to us. We allow the things of the world to overtake us, and we choose to go down the wrong path, follow the wrong people, do the wrong things, and just take life for granted. We don't think about the consequences of our actions. We just live for today. We are blessed to wake up each morning, look at ourselves in the mirror, and choose who and what we will be that day. So often our thoughts shift to who we need to be to everyone else, all while not remaining true to ourselves. Our thoughts immediately focus on who we must become to please everyone outside of the man in the mirror. Then at the end of each day, we return to look at that same man in the mirror and we barely recognize him. From the ages of 18 to 24, Donta spent his young adult life in and out of prison. And then at the age of 25, he would spend the next 15 years of his life in prison for mistakes that could have been avoided if he would have chosen to remain true to himself. Life would have been different. Over the past 3 years, however, Donta has chosen to become the man he was created to be. He has renewed his mind and focused on being true to himself, not by conforming to what everyone else thinks he should be, but who he knows he should be. Donta is currently employed with the Waterfront Partnership of Baltimore, a nonprofit organization that oversees the Waterfront Management Authority, a business dedicated to maintenance and the beautification of Baltimore's waterfront at the Inner Harbor. So without any further ado, we would love to have Donta share some of his thoughts with us.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you guys for having me this morning. Again, my name is Donta Gillie. I'm 40 years old, a resident of Baltimore, Maryland. Been a resident all my life. I chose that topic because for a long time, it was hard for me to look at myself in the mirror, given the things that I was doing in life. And not to dig too deep into it, I was back and forth, dipping and dabbling in the street life. I started out very young at hustling and being involved in the street life and learning about the street life to the point where that was one of the top focal points of my days, was just going out there or staying out there and making money. All the way up until I caught my first charge at 18. Since I caught that charge at 18, after that charge, it's been a nonstop criminal, criminal walk. And during that criminal walk, no mirror was ever around for me to look at myself. I mean, when I got up in the morning, I went straight outside. I stayed outside until it was time for me to come back. When I used the bathroom and everything, I didn't even bother to look at the mirror because I didn't even really understand what I was doing as an individual or why I was doing it as an individual. Coming up during that time, I was playing basketball for Patterson High School, and my dad used to push me and tell me, stick with it. It's gonna take you places. You probably don't have to worry about nothing. Just stay healthy, and you'll be okay. But it's hard to tell somebody something when they're looking at their situation from the beginning of how it all started. Looking at yourself in the mirror, it gives you a chance to critique yourself. When you critique yourself, you find out that you're your biggest critic and your worst critic. Because if you can't be honest with yourself when you look yourself in the mirror, how can you be honest or true to anybody else when you out and about? So we walk this road, this pathway, without being able to be honest with ourselves. And when I say being honest with ourselves, myself per se, when I first looked at that image in the mirror, I kind of smiled because I didn't even recognize the image that was coming back to me. My mind, my body, my energy, my time, everything was just all over the place and not dedicated towards me. All my life, I have put everybody first, no matter who they was, no matter what they done to me, no matter what they done for me. It was always them first. I never put myself first. So again, when I looked in the mirror, I had to question myself. I had to ask myself, what is it that I really want? Who am I today? Who was I yesterday? And how can I be better tomorrow? When you do that, you actually have to look at yourself really, really deep. And I looked at myself and I said, man, is this the type of person that I want to be? Did I want to be out here selling drugs all my life? Did I want to be out here not being back and forth in and out of jail? Did I want to be out here halfway with my family and halfway into the street life? I had to pick a side. So when I critique myself in the mirror, I had to tell myself some really, really, really things that nobody really ever said to me before. Looking at myself, I call myself a womanizer. I call myself unreliable. I call myself undependable. I really asked myself, did I have to love, do I even love myself? Because for a minute, I didn't even care about living or dying, given my situation and what I was going through. Going back and forth to jail, that's a world within itself. And there's no mirrors that you can look at inside jail because all the mirrors inside jail are dull and you can barely see you can barely see any image in the mirrors in jail. And it was a wake up call for me. My last jail time, my last bit that I did, I was 25 when I went in and I came out 37. That was a hurtful time for me. I missed a lot of things. And upon my release, when I got to the halfway house, the first thing I actually ever did was look at myself. And honestly, I congratulated myself for making it back out on the streets in the same manner and peace that I went in and I made physically. Um, Oftentimes, I challenged myself to stop being a womanizer and having multiple women. That was kind of hard for me to do because I never really understood what a healthy, steady relationship was. I looked at everybody else's relationship and I always say, well, I want that relationship. Oh no, I want that relationship. Oh no, I want that relationship. But when I looked at myself in the mirror, I kind of had to ask myself, who are you and what relationship do you want? So we can doll ourselves up in the mirror. We can pamper ourselves up in the mirror and we can take the time to look good for that specific moment. But can we take that time to really look at ourselves deeply in the mirror and really give ourselves that that criticism that we need to push to do better? Recently in the mirror, when I look myself in the mirror, I had to come to terms with a lot of things. I had to come to terms that I hurt a particular woman. I had to come to terms that I hurt my family. I had to come to terms that even now, do some of the things that I do throughout each day, it makes my family upset. That image in the mirror, that is a tough image to look at. And the reason why, again, the reason why I say it's tough is because at the end of the day, are we always going to be honest with that individual, with that image in the mirror? I don't think a lot of people take the opportunity to really look in the mirror other than brushing their teeth, washing their face, uh, or just doing their hair. They be so busy getting prepared for what's to come and what they're looking forward to out of that day that they forget about their own self. They forget that they wasn't truthful. They forget that they told a little lie. They forget that they forgot how to be truthful, how to be honest, how to love, how to respect, and how to cherish their own self. So in the midst of forgetting that, if you can't love, respect, and cherish your own self, you can't love and respect nobody else. It's going to be damaged. And oftentimes when I looked in the mirror, it made me cry because at times I didn't know how to love myself. I didn't know how to be true to myself. I was damaged. I had been damaged. I had been broken. And all it did was carry on and carry on and carry on and carry on until I finally said to myself that I had enough. Life for what I understand, and I'm still learning because we are all learning about life. One thing about life is it's never going to stop teaching you lessons. You're always going to learn a lesson, what's meant for you to learn. And when you learn that lesson, me, I take that time and I look myself in the mirror and I ask myself, this lesson was meant for me to learn for what particular reason? So in order for me to not be a womanizer, I have to focus and channel the energy when I look at myself in the mirror to one particular person, me. And once I got that down pat, I was able to shift some of my love, not all of it, but some of my love to individuals that's in my inner circle. Again, like I said, I hurt this particular woman. We've been together off and on 19 years, off and on. And it's been the same thing over and over and over, over and over and over. And it comes a point where you get tired. And I was tired. I looked in the mirror and I said, this is not what I want. I do not want to be out here on the dating market trying to find somebody new and deal with somebody new when I got somebody that I already know. I had to come to terms with myself by looking myself in the mirror and realizing you know who you are now. You've been through too much. You've gained a lot. You've lost a lot. The question is, what is your next steps from here? So I put myself in line with getting a job. And not only did I have one job, I acquired 4 jobs in a matter of probably about, we'll say, a year and a half. One of the particular jobs that I'm still with currently is waterfront. And I used to love that job. I used to be so glad to go to work. Showed up an hour and a half, 2 hours early just to go to work. And somewhere along the lines, it dwindled. And when it started dwindling, again, I had to look at myself in the mirror and figure out what was the cause of this dwindle. Why do I not like, or why do I don't want to be down here working no more with this particular company? And I had to ask myself some really deep, hard questions. Is it worth the pain? Is it worth the heartache? Is it worth the headache that you're going through to be at waterfront? But each day that I go to work and the community shows their appreciation, it helps me to feel good. It lets me know that I'm making the right choice for the time being until I get somewhere better. Um, I do give thanks to my support system for the things that they have told us, they have showed us. They continue to give me advice. I also give thanks for this better opportunity that I have with inside of waterfront, possibly moving up. And again, that all came with critiquing myself in the mirror. I got tired of being the individual that everybody wanted me to be. I got tired of looking at myself in disgust. And I had to change some things within myself. It's a hard pill when you critique yourself because it's only you in that mirror. There's nobody else around you. There's nobody else in your ears, nobody else on the phone. It's just you in that mirror. When you start to be completely honest with yourself, you don't have to worry about nobody else not liking your honesty or not understanding your honesty because you're being completely honest. And it takes a lot to be completely honest. We can all sit here and say, oh, I'm honest, I tell the truth. But think of the little white lie you told yesterday, or the little white lie you told 2 days ago, or maybe even 3 days ago. And if you remember the little white lie that you told, guess what? You wasn't honest with yourself. Um, Life has showed me a lot, and it's continued to show me a lot. And some of the things I might not agree with, some of the things I might not understand with, but that's the pace and the nature of the image that's reflected from myself in the mirror, the direction that I'm headed in. Uh, I try to help so many people that I couldn't even help myself. I gave myself to different jobs where it physically and mentally drained me. I gave myself to multiple relationships where it physically, mentally drained me. I just gave myself out to everybody instead of giving to myself. Um, I do want to say to everyone that's either on this call or not that sincerely and humbly I apologize. And I'm apologizing for the wrong that I've done. I'm apologizing for the right that I've done as well. And the reason why I say the wrong and the right is because oftentimes I couldn't even figure out which one was the true or which one was the right way to go. I may have helped somebody for their own particular reason. And then after that, I probably felt some kind of way like, I don't even know why I helped that person, or I shouldn't even did this, or I should never did that. You get tired of doing that. You get tired of feeling like that. You get tired of looking at yourself like that. So again, when I looked at myself in the mirror, I had to tell myself, like, if you're going to help somebody, you got to help somebody from your heart. You can't help nobody just because you just feel like helping them, because it's not going to make you feel good at the end of your succession of helping them. Um, these 40 years has been rough on me. Yes, I am 40. These 40 years has been rough on me. And I'm not saying that nobody else's life has not been rough, but it all started back when I was little. And I was molested at a young age from a family friend that we were staying with. And during that time period, I did not know how to communicate with anybody, to tell anybody. I felt ashamed. I felt like nobody didn't care about me. I felt like nobody didn't want to do nothing to help stop the situation, until actually my mother found out. And when my mother found out, she did do something. So I commend my mother for that. I recently told my father about this coming out before I came home from jail this last go around. And it kind of shocked him too, because he never knew that that took place. Um, I also had a friend of the family tell my family that I sexually assaulted her. And to have my mother look at me with a doubt in her mind, that did something to me mentally, physically, and emotionally too. Because during this time, I was 15 years old, and this was a grown woman babysitting us. And for her to go back and tell my mom that I took advantage of her and I did this and I did that, and I'm trying to look in the mirror and I ask myself, like, how can I take advantage of a grown woman? I'm just a kid. When the truth finally came out and she finally admitted that she lied, it didn't have no relief on me, because when she brought it up and I told my side of the story, my family doubted me. And that was another reason why it was hard for me to look into the mirror, look in the mirror at myself and critique myself, because at the same time, it's like, how can I even speak to anybody? How can I even speak to anybody without nobody understanding what happened to me, what transpired to me? Why is everybody taking this lady's side? Is it because she's an adult? Or is it because during that time, period, everybody that was taking her side was dipping and dabbing in the streets? And when I say dipping and dabbing in the streets, I mean getting high in the streets. So it kind of frustrated me and hurted me. And to this day, the young lady has apologized more than one time. And I think probably about maybe a month ago, I actually came to terms with forgiving her for what she done to me. And I actually talked to my mother, my aunts, and everybody that knew about the situation. And I told them that I forgave them for doubting me. Um, when I look in the mirror each day now, I want to be a different person. I want to be a better employee. I want to be a better friend. I want to be a better son. I want to be a better husband, a better father. I just want to be better all around and all over. So I continuously critique myself every day when I look in the mirror. It's not about my hair. It's not about my face. It's not about nothing but that image in the mirror. I'm tired of being the image that everybody sees me as. I won't be the image that I was designed to be. So critiquing myself in the mirror, I challenge you guys to, at some point in the day, either before you go to bed at night or when you have a lunch break, to really look at yourself in the mirror and just ask yourself one question. Ask yourself if you told a little white lie today. And if you can be honest with yourself about telling a little white lie today, you definitely gonna be honest with critiquing yourself moving forward. The 4 jobs that I had was waterfront, National Aquarium, manager at Dollar General, and I had an overnight unloading a trucking company. Doing an overnight job, it threw my back out, but I still wanted to be there at that company. National Aquarium, I'm still down there, and waterfront, I'm still down there. The jobs that I have coming up is just a transitioning from one location within waterfront to another location with a pay increase. So I thank God for that blessing.
Hey,
I thank God.
Donta,
Yes.
I'm gonna jump in here. Thank you so much for being with us, sharing your story and being so vulnerable and honest. We are so grateful. I am sure people have questions.
Okay.
So if we could give them if we could give folks a few minutes and open up the floor,
Yes.
that would be wonderful. Thank you, Donta.
Thank you.
Anybody have questions?
I sort of do, but I think you already answered it. And I was going to ask you what I had written down is what drives you now and what grounds you?
So what drives me now is knowing what it took for me to reach this age of 40 and seeing how things are in the world right now. It drives me to stay on the path that I'm on so that I can be able to see the future. What keeps me grounded, honestly, is myself. I'm gonna be completely honest. And the reason why I say myself is because nobody is gonna do for me. Nobody is gonna go take care of or make sure that it's done right but yourself. And that's why I say myself, and that's why I say that's what keeps me grounded.
Well, I really commend you. You're a wonderful role model for us in reminding us that we all have the potential to become a better version of ourselves. And that's what you're working on. It's just that most of us, we dream of that with our mind, but then we're lazy about actually making that happen.
Exactly.
So you've reminded us how important it is to do that work and the way in which to do that work. Thanks.
Thank you.
What drove you? What led you to come to terms and forgive the person that that lied about you, and forgive your family members and approach them about it? Was there a turning point? What led you to that level of forgiveness?
The turning point was when you look at again, when you look at what's taking place in the world, when you look at 7-year-old babies and 13-year-old kids and 16-year-old kids get shot, get murdered in the city that you grew up in, it gives you an idea of what life, how short life can be. You know what I mean? And oftentimes when a drastic situation happening like that, that's the time that people want to be like, oh, well, let me make amends with everybody and say I'm sorry, or I did this and this, that, and the third. When I look out and listen to and hear about different things taking place in the streets, I try to come to peace with anything that I have done wrong or any wrong has done to me. That way I don't have that burden on my shoulders as I walk through life.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Did I answer your question fully?
Yeah, you did. I was asking, I guess I was looking for like that catalyst, like why now as opposed to a year from now or 2 years ago, but really with everything going on in the world, like the current events, that's what I'm hearing, right?
Right.
The gravity of what's happening like right now was what led you to that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And it led me to it also because she took the time to reach out to me when I was in jail, and she was trying to apologize to me when I was in jail. But when I was in jail, I wasn't really trying to hear it because I had to focus on what was going on in this particular environment that I was in. So I really wasn't trying to hear her apology of what she did. But when I came home, she had talked to my mother, my aunts, and everything, and they already knew that she apologized, but they didn't say nothing to me because they wanted her to apologize to me. So when she did apologize to me again, I was just coming home. I wasn't even trying to hear it. Like, all right, cool, I accept your apology. Go about your business. We ain't got nothing else to talk about. But I recently had a sit down with her, and that was probably about 2 to 5 minutes. And I said, listen, I heard your apology back then. I wasn't being disrespectful or smart, but I was focused on getting myself in position where I can navigate through this world from being off of the streets for 14 and a half years. I said, so to answer your question from when I first came home, yes, I do accept your apology. We don't have to ever talk again or speak again, but I want you to know that I want this to be completely straightforward and coming. It was wrong for you to do what you did and how you manipulated the situation. But I do forgive you, and I wish you the best, and I always pray for you. And at that same time, after I said that, my mother happened to call me and ask me, can I give her a ride? And I was explaining to her, my mother, what took place. And then I told her face to face, like, Ma, I forgive you. And she kind of had like a crazy look on her face, like, what you mean you forgive me? And I broke it down to her, like, when that situation happened, the look from a child into his parents' eyes, it told me a lot. It told me that you had a little doubt, that you really asked yourself, could that possibly have taken place? And for a split second, she was like, no, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was just unbelievable. And I was like, yeah, exactly. It was unbelievable. But you had that doubt as to, could my son really have done this? I said, but I forgive you, Ma. I don't even really want to talk about it no more because it's over with. It's in the past.
Wow. Thank you so much. So Donta, thank you very much for joining us, and really appreciate your honesty and just a discussion of how we have to have pure motives and a lot of self-reflection every day. And we all need that.
Yes.
So I appreciate that. And I'm really thankful that you've connected with Diane and other folks here. And I hope you can join us again sometime.
I would love to.
Thank you so much, and have a nice
Thank
day,
you, guys.
everybody.